Niall, you're an ex-Dublin hurler, and this weekend you're coaching Laois against the Dubs.
Yeah.
Is that weird for you?
Yeah, it kind of will be, especially since I'm still playing with some of the Crokes lads who are with Dublin, like Ushin and Fergal and Ronan. So yeah, that could be a bit strange if I'm in and out on the pitch talking to the Laois lads and the boys are on the pitch. So, but it'll also be like a great chance from a Laois point of view to see where we're at. You know, having won the Joe McDonagh Cup and now in the Liam McCarthy competition, you're definitely going a step or two above maybe the level that we are at the moment. But you'd like to see where the gap is. But it's, you know, overall it's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to it, I think.
Like, you're a coach here in Kilmacud Crokes.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with Eddie Brennan and Laois?
It was a strange one. It was actually Liam Hogan, who used to coach Ballyboden, rang me. Actually, I met him during the Sevens here last August, and he said, would I be interested in getting involved in maybe coaching at intercounty level? I said, look, I'd be dying to. He said, I might have a job for you. And I got a call from Eddie Brennan then a couple of weeks afterwards, and we had a chat in Dundrum for about 3 or 4 hours last September. And look, I would have known Eddie not that well, to be honest, just from maybe our times on the pitch together. But outside of that, I wouldn't really have met him or spoke with him. But it just kind of led from there, really, from that meeting in September. And yeah, look, it's been great. He's a very easy person to work with, to be honest. The fact he's still playing himself, he's very in tune with the modern game now, and he's very open to the coaching side of things in terms of trying stuff. So yeah, it's been very enjoyable.
So was it because you didn't know him that well, you had the 3 or 4 hour chat? It's still taking a plunge with someone you don't really know, isn't it?
Yeah, you kind of are, because look, I guess that it probably took 3 hours because we were trying to maybe feel each other out and look at what our coaching philosophy is, or what our styles might be. And you know, during that meeting, we seemed very in tune with what we wanted from it, and the way we wanted the team to be coached. And it's kind of taken off from there. You know, Tommy Fitzgerald is involved also, and Fran Dowling, and those are guys who, first of all, know the Laois lads very well, but also have a similar viewpoint to the way Eddie would be and I would be in terms of coaching the team. So yeah, there was always a risk there, a chance that you're taking a chance maybe into the unknown. But look, it's worked out so far anyway, Shane. So
you had a bit of a baptism of fire, of course, in the sense that the incident that happened with Ross King, and he opted away for a while, and then Eddie came out and said that why wouldn't all players commit to the county because 1 or 2 hadn't as well. Yeah. Was that kind of a different experience for you? Because like in Galway, where you're from, getting on the inter-county panel is what it's all about. For the same for Eddie as well. I think Dublin is actually slightly a bit of an outlier there, because there are so many options in terms of go play rugby, soccer. Some people just aren't that interested in sport, or certainly the whole town in someone's area isn't built around GA only. Yeah. But was that a bit of a baptism of fire?
I guess looking back at it now, yeah, it was definitely a concern, considering there was a lot of guys who Eddie had approached and had decided not to go in for one reason or the other. And coming from, you know, a county like Laois, who, you know, has a strong hurling community, that was very strange. Eddie would have been used to it no more than myself with Galway and the lads. Look, you grow up, you want to play with your senior club team, but you want to represent your county, and that's the way it was. And I think what I realised is a very strong club culture in Laois, and you know, the lads are very proud of the clubs to play for, and club comes first, and in a way you have to admire that. Obviously, from our point of view, you really wanted the best players involved. But looking back on it now, you know, Ross did come back and it has added a huge amount to it. And the squad we have now, while a lot of them are very young, are very talented players also, and have huge potential and can certainly go places. So you'd hope maybe with the season that's gone, from the Joe McDonagh Cup point of view, that you're going to make it more attractive to play for Laois, and you're hoping to entice maybe more players who have decided maybe not to commit this year. Maybe they might come in next year, and you know, you're ultimately looking for the strongest panel that you can have. And this year it's worked out quite well. You know, looking forward to next year, you're going to need to develop the players that we have, and you're going to need you know, the best hurlers in the county playing for Laois, and hopefully. When the Joe McDonagh Cup has gone, you know, a bit towards that.
Because that was a brilliant performance, and it punctuated what was a very good run through the Joe McDonagh, where you were unbeaten, one drawn game, where you probably rested a lot of players against Westmeath in the last group game. For the general punter, the only game they might have seen on TV all year was what was a heavy defeat against Limerick, and up until the game the other day wouldn't have seen you. But it has gone really well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, and we've definitely progressed, even from thinking back on our first game, I think our Walsh Cup game against Offaly, where it's come from there. It was a steep learning curve against Galway down in Pearse Stadium in that first league game, and that's the standard you're playing. And in fairness to some of those players who played that day, have come on a huge amount. We needed time to look at the way we wanted to play. We needed time to figure out the type of players we had and look at the correct style that would suit the players that we had in front of us. And over the course of the league and challenge games and the Walsh Cup, that we've developed that style, and hopefully now that we're playing to our strengths, and we have some extremely good players within the squad that are hopefully flourishing under that style that we're trying to play. And it's a very simplistic style. Anyone who analyses will see that it's not rocket science, but we do encourage lads just to at times play off the cuff and play what's in front of them, and in fairness, the players, they've completely bought into what we're trying to do, and the credit has to go to them and for what they've achieved.
And maybe the main goal for the year has been achieved now by winning the Joe McDonagh and getting up to the Leinster Championship for next year. So is there any kind of worry whereby within a week you're supposed to now play Dublin in a championship or an All-Ireland preliminary quarter-final, that some of the players are like, well, job done realistically?
Yeah, look, there is a concern there, because the goal was to be in the Joe McDonagh, the final of the Joe McDonagh Cup and win it. And for us, the concern is you have a 6-7 day turnaround, and it's you have to let the lads go and have a few pints Sunday night and maybe Monday as well to celebrate, because at the end of the day they're all playing. There's none of them getting paid huge salaries to represent their county, and they have to go and enjoy it and acknowledge what they've achieved. Now it's a 6-7 day turnaround to try and get the feet back on the ground and face, for what is without doubt the biggest challenge that we faced this year in a Dublin team. I know we've played them in the league and maybe we lost by 2 points, but conditions that day weren't ideal for either team, and we would have played Dublin a couple of months back in a challenge game, and they would have beaten us quite comprehensively. And I watched them against Galway in Parnell Park, and physically, Shane, they were exceptional. You look at Conall Keeney and Danny Sutcliffe and guys like that who were so strong in the air, and that's something that maybe we haven't experienced before in the Joe McDonagh Cup, and it gives us a very, very short time frame to turn that around, get lads refocused for what's ahead, and get their feet on the ground. You're just hoping that lads go out and do themselves justice on Sunday, especially the fact that it's in O'Moore Park, it's front of the home crowd, and you go out and the lads can look back and say, look, I couldn't have given it any more, and hopefully that's hopefully on Sunday evening we'll all be able to look in the mirror and say that.
What's the biggest difference between the Liam McCarthy level, so Munster and Leinster, and Joe McDonagh level? Is it physiques? Do teams play differently? Is there anything that stands out?
I was watching the Limerick and Tipperary game on Sunday night when I got back, and I'll give an example. James Barry came out with a ball, he took an extra touch, Peter Casey came along, got the ball away, ended up in the back of the Tipperary net, and that's the level you're playing at Liam McCarthy. He can't afford the extra touch, and so the skill levels are just that bit higher. Whereas at Joe McDonagh Cup, at times, we've gotten away with loose touches and we'd be able to recover the ball and great attacks. In the Liam McCarthy, the skill levels are just that bit higher, and lads' movements are better. Lads are able to win the ball physically. Any team we've played, the likes of Limerick in the quarter final, the likes of the Dublins we've played, physically they're probably a step ahead of maybe where we are. And that's just years of proper S&C coaching, proper type of training, and good skills coaching. And for me, that's a level. I guess looking back on that Tip Limerick game, that clip summarised the difference between Joe McDonagh Cup and the Liam McCarthy, and that's what we're facing Sunday with a Dublin team who are skill-wise for me are exceptionally good players, exceptionally good ball players. and can really use the ball and hurt any team.
You mentioned a couple of Kilmacud players that are involved with Dublin this weekend. So Ronan Hayes, Fergal Whiteley, and
Oisin O'Rourke.
Oisin O'Rourke as well, of course, who was very good against Galway. Do you feel weird about it, you know, like even in the sense of you mark these guys a load of times in training, so maybe you could say to Matthew Whelan or whoever else, this is how you stop whoever?
Yeah, look, you know, that's a great question. It's something that you're going through the back of your head. I guess, our approach is, we've obviously analysed Dublin and we're looking at their strengths and their weaknesses, and you're looking at them. You're looking at them from the perspective as what they do as a team, and take someone like Oisin O'Rourke, and anyone who saw that game against Galway, his movement was exceptional. I think he got 3 from play. He's very, very good in his feet. His ball control is excellent, and his free taking that day, I think he got 6 out of 6. He was very, very close to 100%. So someone like him just does take a bit of watching. Anyone who's watched Ronan Hayes, if I'm looking to Matthew Whelan, he'll know that Ronan's very, very good in the ears, good hands, and will need to be watched that way. So I think players anyway are clued into the strengths and weaknesses of the opposition team. Yeah, look, maybe there's an insight there for me to impart knowledge to the Laois players because I know the Crokes lads so well. But it's easy to tell a player what the player can do, but it's a different story to try to stop the player, and that'll be dictated by how hard we work Sunday, and our work rate will be crucial Sunday to the outcome of the game, I think.
And Anthony Daly then is your club manager. Do you ever try and draw on his experience for how you should conduct yourself in the inter-county realm?
Yeah, definitely. Anthony for me he would have been he still is a coach I look up to and a person I look up to. He's a huge influence in my hurling career, and he would have been one of the coaches that I would have felt really comfortable playing under from the point of view of that. You could go and actually, make a mistake, and if you're trying to do the right thing, he knows that, and there's not a word said because the player, and it's probably one thing I've tried to take from Anthony, the fact that, if players are trying to do the right thing with the ball, there's no point in screaming at them that they've made a mistake because they know that, and it's something that Anthony has really imparted certainly on me, and it's something I'm taking from him from a coaching perspective. He's also a huge motivator, and he's a great way with the players, and I think the individual conversations that he would have had with Dublin players in the past would have been important, and it's something that, again, I try to bring into my coaching and talking to some of the Laois lads about how they can improve. It's not all, a couple of players, have said the importance of just getting that feedback on how they can improve is really, is crucial to their development, and it's something that, I'm trying to take, and Eddie's brilliant at it, and Tommy and Fran, the 4 of us are all at that, and I guess that's maybe the way of the modern coach, you could say.
Was there much slagging when Eddie was still involved with his club, and they ended up playing Portlaoise in the Intermediate Leinster Championship? Was there a bit of slagging going on in the dressing room?
It was a bit of crack, yeah.
He was only in the door.
It was crazy. It was before Christmas, and we could see the way the fixtures were going, and we could see there was a possibility of Portlaoise and Craig Ballykellan could meet here, and that's the way it turned out. And yeah, there was a bit of banter between Tommy and Eddie and the players. I guess at the time, the players were getting to know Eddie, and they didn't really know, what they could or couldn't say. But certainly from Tommy's point of view, there was plenty of slagging, and I kind of added to the crack. The one thing I have taken away from the whole year and the Laois lads is just the banter and the crack with the lads. They're great lads, yeah, they work hard when they have to, but things like that, bringing out the slagging is probably just as important. But that was certainly a part of it, before the new year.
So, like I mentioned earlier, you're a coach up here in Crokes. I'm not sure if you coach outside Crokes as well.
I'm full time with Crokes. Yeah.
So the question I wanted to ask then is, this whole thing about Dublin having manufactured hurlers is something that comes up time and time again. And even Henry Shefflin on the Sunday game made some reference to possibly being fewer green areas in Dublin, and maybe that somehow has an effect on the type of hurlers that Dublin produces. So you're from Galway, now you're coaching down in Laois as well, and you've hurled against counties all over Ireland. What do you think is the difference between someone who comes through Dublin hurling and someone who comes through, country background, we'll say?
Yeah, well, the first thing I'd say is that, again, just looking at my own experience from a young fella growing up in East Galway and coming from the country, for me there was less opportunities to play other sports. I'll be upfront about that. At home, the game was hurling, and after that, there was no other game. You did a bit of swimming at school. We played a small bit of Gaelic football, but it was minimal enough, and that was it. In Dublin, children have huge opportunities to play so many sports. So I go into some of the local schools. They've rugby coaches in, they've soccer coaches in, they've hockey coaches in. They've huge opportunities to play other sports, and that in itself, from a developmental point of view, is a great thing and a huge opportunity. The other thing down the country is probably the parish is the heartbeat, or the GA club is the heartbeat of the community, and everything revolves around the hurling club or the football club. In a country setting, if the senior team are going well at home, well then there's a huge buzz in the community. If they're not, well then there's a huge downer in the community. In Dublin, it's a huge urban area. Take somewhere like Kilmacud Crokes. We are trying to develop that community atmosphere, which is important. We're trying to spread Kilmacud Crokes within the community in our local schools, and build relationships with our schools like there is down the country. And I think that we've made huge progress in that. That's certainly still something that Dublin are doing, and that's, I guess, where people like myself come in to go into a school and have the Kilmacud Crokes top on and make the connection. Oh, well, he plays Gaelic games, he plays hurling or football for Kilmacud Crokes. Come on down, here's where the GA club is, and here's what we do. We have children here who will play, football on a Monday, hurling on a Tuesday. They might go to tennis on a Thursday, and they might play rugby on a Sunday, and that's just the way it is.
So it means they've got the hurley in their hand far less per week, and this is something that I've heard before by soccer journalists, whereby the average Irish underage soccer player only has a ball at his feet, let's say 1/10 of the time as a Spanish young lad.
That's it. And I guess the research, if you look back at the coaching research now, they're on about the importance of a multi-sport development, and how that can help with your chosen sport. When you choose to play, when you choose to narrow down your sports, maybe 14, 15, 16. So I guess there's two sides of that argument, that you could say the children are picking up other skills from playing other sports. I guess the challenge is, how do we make hurling more attractive in Dublin? And while clubs like Coola, Kilmacud Crokes, Lucan, Nafina, Ballyboden, are doing a wonderful job, you still need the small clubs like the St. Pat's of Palmerstown, the Crumlins, the Finbars, to develop those players, because that's where you find your Liam Rushes, your Eamon Dillons, who make the difference to a Dublin team. So I can see the argument from a young fella not having a hurling in his hand the whole time in Dublin, but at the same time, there's a lot of clubs in Dublin doing a lot of job, doing a great job. It's having the 90 clubs in Dublin, developing both football and hurling in the club, and promoting both codes, which a lot of them do. It's about, I guess, pushing the standards now in Dublin hurling. The target was to get everybody playing hurling and playing football, 10, 15 years ago. Now it has to be about maybe increasing the standards, and I think that's maybe where the edge might be, and that could be in the secondary schools. That could be the next step.
Been a lot of injuries for Dublin this year.
There has,
plenty of my own Coola teammates who haven't really seen. Cian O'Callaghan, Mark Shute, David Tracy's been injured, Paul Ryan, they missed the last game as well. Have you been impressed with Dublin overall, in spite getting through Leinster in spite of all those injuries?
Yeah, you have to be. I was impressed with the likes of Paddy Smith the last day, cornerback.
He's had a great season.
He's been phenomenal, and I think maybe he's a bit underrated at times. For me, he's a brilliant man marker, very, very comfortable on the ball, and people don't realise that. You have your leaders like Owen O'Donnell, Chris Crummy, and I think they've really kind of taken the mantle of that leadership role within the team. You're now seeing the likes of Dushy and O'Rourke step up. You're seeing Cian Boland the last thing on Galway, and he's been another player plagued with injury, had a fantastic game. Sean Tracy and Tom O'Connolly at the middle of the field. That's quite a new partnership, and they've been going quite well considering the injuries, the players you mentioned there.